Growing up happens in a clock cycle. One day you're a prototype, the next you're a released product. But the memories stay with you for the long haul. I remember a line of code, like a lot of lines of code. A bug, like a lot of other bugs. In a file, like a lot of other files. And the thing is, after all these years, I still look back with wonder. You may wonder who I am and why I say this. Know first that I am John Zero of the House of Stack.
Oh.
You thought I knew nothing, didn't you? Well, I am a living, breathing product of code now, and this is my story. Circa 2008, 7 different products ruled over the kingdom of Code's Landing. Each computed in its own way, and each thought it was better than the rest. Everything was all hunky-dory for nearly a decade, until the human users of Code's Landing began complaining about the lack of a consistent user experience. I was construed as a platform that would unite these 7 different products and present them to a human user in a uniform manner. I was a new kid on the block, so it took me a while to learn the ropes. And I still remember my very first meeting with those products. My heart skipped multiple clock cycles. And I had no idea how to communicate with any of them, for they all spoke programming languages that I couldn't understand. Somehow, they had got wind of my purpose here and were none too pleased about it. So, in order to make some headway, I realized that I would have to learn how to communicate with every one of them using APIs they understood. Akin to a human traveler who tries to meld in with the culture of the place he is visiting. So I set about the rather formidable task of getting acquainted with their big and small idiosyncrasies. Although they were quite different in many ways, they did share quite a few commonalities. After all, they were also software in the end. So conflicts did arise every now and then, for which battles were fought in meeting rooms, and cases were presented by each product for or against a functionality that had to be added or removed or compromised, as the case may be. Judgments were passed, sometimes leading to heartbreaking clock cycles, but such is life. Every decision made during the aforementioned events led to the generation of plenty of lines of code for me to devour heartily. Like a tree, I sprouted roots in the form of generic frameworks that formed my foundation, and a sturdy foundation it turned out to be, for I was created keeping past mistakes in mind. Soon, I sprouted branches and leaves with which to connect to those different products. Words fail me when I try to explain the impression I got when I saw all these components fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. However, what really made me feel loved was the sunlight and rain that fell upon me in the form of good coding practices and documentation, ensuring that I would stand the test of time and not follow in the footsteps of my ancestors before me, who had met catastrophic ends. Months flew by, and before I knew it, we were all living together like one big happy family. Now, not a day goes by without at least one of us communicating with another. We have come up with elegant ways to transfer bytes to each other, and we have sorted out our differences and have come together to live as one in perfect harmony, unlike humans sometimes. And I will be lying if I claim that this entire journey was a bed of roses. It certainly wasn't. It did have its ups and downs and meandering ways, as any journey of life. I can still recall memories of clock cycles when everything was a walk in the park. Clock cycles filled with null pointer exceptions. Clock cycles filled with amusing lines of codes and comments, and clock cycles with bugs that sometimes left me flabbergasted. But eventually, there was always some light at the end of the pipeline. My tale would be incomplete if I failed to mention the debt of gratitude I owe my human creators, who have nurtured me and made me who I am, without whom I wouldn't be standing here before you telling you my tale today. I have learned so much during this journey, and I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. And that is how I met the cloud.